exclusively White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. It is good to see you.
Good to see you.
You're always welcome. Thank you for taking the invitation. So,
absolutely.
You and I have seen a lot of states of the Union, although I am much older than you.
You said that, not me.
Well,
so,
it just happens to be.
I'll leave that on the table.
Facts first. That room last night was grossly divided. I've never seen Nancy Pelosi's face like that. The president made some outreach to them, but he was focusing mostly on the Republican side. How can he unify that room?
I think doing exactly what he did last night, and I'm going to be a little bit in disagreement with you. I think Nancy Pelosi looks like that all the time. I think she should smile a lot more often. I think the country would be better for it. She seems to kind of embody the bitterness that belongs in the Democrat Party right now. I think last night was a good step forward. Hopefully they can let go of some of that, and they have to make a big decision. They need to decide, Chris, do they love America more than they hate this president? And are they willing to put some of those differences aside, come together, and do what's right for this country?
The fundamental disagreement is on where's the hate, because Nancy Pelosi would argue, has argued on this set, that it is righteous indignation that you see coming from her, that the way last night the president identified the people who killed the children of those African-American couples that were there last night as illegal entrants as minors. They took it as code for dreamers, that you're trying to villainize this group of people.
There was no code. The president could not have been more clear. He has laid out exactly what he wants to see in an immigration reform plan. All of the things he has laid out are things that Democrats have supported. Bill Clinton got a standing ovation for using similar language in one of his State of the Union addresses by both Democrats and Republicans. Democrats have voted to end the visa lottery system. They support a pathway to citizenship. These are things that the president has given and laid out a good and solid compromise that, frankly, everybody should be excited about. Democrats and Republicans should both be celebrating. As the president said, everybody didn't get everything they wanted, but the country is getting what they need. And it's time for both Republicans and Democrats to come together and put some of that common sense solution forward.
Message versus messenger. Clinton, some of the language was changed. You know you have problems. You know you have to make the process better in terms of who gets into this country and also whom you decide to throw out. But the motivating ethos from Clinton, the idea was we are our diversity. The feeling is with this president, he sees diversity as a minus. Not one story last night. And by the way, the president did a good job articulating people's stories last night. And it's very powerful for the audience and for the media. But not one about a successful dreamer. Not one. Although he did say all Americans are dreamers, which, again, is not only not true, but I didn't understand the point of doing that.
Look, the president has committed to solving this problem. He has said he wants to find a solution, and he's laid one out. Democrats don't have a message. They simply are sitting on their hands and being angry instead of coming to the table to have real negotiations.
Because they believe it's a policy of exclusion. Because he has his
How
four
is
pillars.
it a policy of exclusion, Chris, when the president, frankly, went further than Barack Obama ever did as president? He has tripled the number of people that he has included in this program. That is the opposite of exclusion. That is broadening the spectrum and taking it a much step further. The idea that Democrats are saying that this president is not being inclusive and is not trying to put an actual solution on the table is frankly laughable, and they should be embarrassed that they are trying to peddle that kind of just false premise, because it's just frankly not true.
Well, the premise is this. With one hand, he gives, pathway to citizenship. Going to be hard to sell in part of your party, by the way. With the other hand, he's taking away. And that there are obviously at least two of these pillars, if not three, are designed to limit who comes into this country and what types of people come into this country, which is what the Democrats are trying to protect against. So the practical problem becomes you have two of them. The first one is this. Do you have two pillars too many? Do you think you can get any deal that goes beyond dealing with DACA and security? It seems like the Democrats will give you security. Vernacular about the wall will be an issue. But the other two may be a bridge too far.
But you can't just do partial security. It has to be the whole thing. Otherwise, we're dealing with this same situation in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. The president doesn't want to kick the can down the road anymore. He wants to be able to sit down with Democrats, sit down with Republicans and say, look, we have a problem with the DACA system. Let's fix it. We have 1.8 million people. Let's give them a pathway. But at the same time, let's make sure we don't find ourselves back here again. That's why you can't just have one or two pillars. You have to have all four. The same reason a stool doesn't work with two legs.
It's too much
exclusion. You've got to have all of that. It's not exclusion, though. It's the safety and security of the American people.
I know, but where's that seen in the facts, though, Sarah? You know, when it comes to the lottery, the selling point is we don't know who these people are when they come on. You know that's not true. They get vetted. They get vetted several times. What you call chain migration, which the Democrats call family unification.
Which Democrats have voted to end in the past.
But no. What they've done is to vote for limitations. And nobody's saying that you don't want to improve these processes so you know who's coming in. But the idea of what the president said last night, somebody can literally bring in as many people as they want. It's just not true. It's not true in the facts. It's not true in the reality.
Multiple instances where they are bringing in dozens of people. Look, we're not saying they can't bring in anybody. We're just limiting the number to be the nuclear and the immediate family.
But you're making the exception the rule when you do that. You're making the exception the rule about who gets in here, who commits crimes, who are malefactors. You're making the exceptions the rule. You're painting all of these people with the same brush.
That's not true at all. That's actually what Democrats are doing, is trying to paint the president saying this. Look, the president wants to have people, I've heard him say it hundreds of times, he wants people from all over the world, from all different places to come, but he wants to make sure that they want to come here for the right reasons, that they want to come here to be part of our society, to contribute, to work, to help raise a family, and to make sure that they're not coming here to do harm to American citizens. I think that's a positive. I think everybody in America thinks that's a positive. And I think that's the reason that 75% of the country last night said they liked Donald Trump's speech. There was a poll last night.
There was plenty of stuff in there to like it. We had 48% were highly favorable. Look, it's one thing to say it. It's then what do you do and what do you tweet thereafter? You know, we don't have to go back into the language he used, but he wants people to come into the country, but not from those certain S-hole countries. He wants them rich and white because he wants them from Norway.
Untrue.
And that's not America.
Chris, that's
I wouldn't be here
if
that's
the
America.
opposite of what this president has laid out. By very definition, a merit-based system is colorblind. It is absolutely outrageous to claim that it is anything different.
But he said exactly that, Sarah.
Democrats have been begging for some of these things in the past, and now they claim that they're racist. That is just untrue.
But he said it, Sarah.
He said that he wanted a merit-based system. Absolutely.
No, he didn't. He said that he didn't want people from those countries.
I guess I missed you being in the room to hear.
Are you saying that he didn't say that?
The context. I'm saying that you're trying to create a narrative that doesn't exist. You're trying to take words of the president and make them mean something that they don't. This is the president.
Based on the context of all the other things he said about immigrants that is so ugly and so destructive.
I'm going to have to disagree with your premise. This is a president who loves this country. This is a president who wants to see the very best things of this country. And I think you saw him highlight his heart, his soul, and the optimistic vision that he has for our country last night. And I think you see that every day in the policies that he's been pushing over the last year and everything that he has laid out that he wants his administration to accomplish over the next 7 years.
Well, and you have the other side saying on those exact same criteria, they don't trust that he wants to do the right thing by these people, but we'll see what happens at the table. Now, the second obstacle you have to make in a deal. You're in that 5-day period now with this memo. If that memo is released, it will dominate the discussion for good and bad reason. It will dominate deal making. You said in a statement from the White House, he hasn't reviewed it yet. We're nowhere on releasing it. Then let's put up the statement just so people can see. There you are. It's a good enough picture, right? I know everybody always starts with the picture. Contrary to a published report, there are no current plans to release the House Intel Committee's memo. Continue on. The president hasn't seen or been briefed on the memo or reviewed its contents. Okay, fair enough. But then last night we had this piece of sound, so then explain it to us.
Let's release the memo. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't worry. 100%. Can you imagine that?
100%. He's going to release the memo. Is that the new position from the White House?
Look, we've said all along from day one that we want full transparency in this process. We haven't hidden that. But at the same time, we're still going to complete the legal and national security review that has to take place before putting something out publicly. And that's the place where we are right now.
Is there any chance that the president does not release the memo?
I think there's always a chance. But again, I don't know. I haven't seen the memo. I can't make that judgment, but I do know that we're going through that process. I know that'll be part of what's taking place at the White House today, and we'll certainly keep you guys posted, as I know you'll continue to ask until you hear the final answer on that.
Has the president seen the memo yet?
Not that I'm aware of. I know he hadn't as of last night, prior to and immediately after the State of the Union.
All right. So obviously, before he goes promising 100%, he should read this because he may be getting set up by the memo if it doesn't deliver what's promised by people on the right. Did Devin Nunes work with anybody in the White House on that memo?
Not that I know of.
No, he wouldn't answer that question.
Right, and I just don't know the answer. I don't know of anyone that he did, and I haven't had a chance to.
He has worked with the White House before when it comes to intelligence and the Russia investigation.
Look, we have certainly coordinated with members of Congress as is appropriate. As to specifics on this, I just don't know the answer. I'm not aware of any conversations or coordination with Congressman Nunes on
Rosenstein, Trump's choice, says he doesn't like this. He goes to the chief of staff to say it. Stephen Boyd, Trump's choice at the DOJ, says this could be reckless, dangerous. The intelligence community says, let us review this. You have the House saying we don't trust the GOP, the Republican part of that committee. You have the president, when asked if he trusts the FBI, say, we'll have to see. Why do this to the intelligence community? Why call into question their legitimacy with the American people?
Look, I don't think we are calling into question anything.
I think,
look, we've said many, many times before, the president has full confidence in Director Wray and his ability to lead the FBI. I don't think there's any secret that there is some frustration and certainly great cause for concern by some of the actions of some of the previous leadership at the FBI. But the president put Director Wray there for a reason. He has great confidence in the rank and file members of the FBI, which we've said repeatedly. But there are a number of things that have given reason for not just the president, but the American people to have cause for concern out of the actions out of that department.
So why not let the system work? Why do this?
That's exactly what we're doing.
No,
Chris.
no, this is a naked end run. Sarah, you know that. This is a naked end run by the House Republicans. They're saying, usually, the intelligence community.
That is the process.
Oh, no.
It is the process for an intel committee.
We've never seen a release of information like this.
We've also never seen the obsession over a total hoax like we have seen over the last year.
What's a hoax? What's a hoax?
I would say the Russia collusion and Russian fever that you guys have perpetuated every single day.
But
look,
how is it a fever?
Did it happen?
Was there Russian interference? The American people certainly have never said they don't want to hear about it.
But that's not what you guys are talking about. You're not talking about whether or not Russians involved. You're talking about whether or not the president was involved. Those are two very different things.
But that's part of the special counsel's purview, a man who you guys interviewed for a job at the White House, a lifelong Republican and a decorated veteran who everybody applauded, Bob Mueller.
And we're fully cooperating with him. We've turned over thousands and thousands of documents. More than 20 people have done interviews.
And yet reports that the president thought of making a move on him this summer.
We have continued to be fully cooperative with him. The president has been fully cooperative with him. He's publicly been very positive and saying, I don't have any problems here. Let's see what happens. Let's get this done.
He said, I'm looking forward to sitting down with him. Now there's reporting that your lawyers are looking for an exception to get him out of an interview. Which is it?
It's those two things are not mutually exclusive, Chris, because the president has nothing to hide. He's more than happy to be
Then why look for a reason to get him out of an interview?
At the same time, his attorneys are going to go through the proper process. You guys want to paint these just crazy, like ludicrous things and create stories that just aren't there.
What's crazy and ludicrous? He says he wants to meet with Mueller. Now you've got his lawyers looking for an exception that probably doesn't apply. Why?
He says he's certainly willing to. Again,
then don't have the lawyers waste my tax money figuring stuff out with that.
If you want to talk about wasting tax money, it's talk about the entire investigation as a whole with this president and collusion. That is a waste of taxpayer money.
How do you know when we don't know what the investigation will yield?
We have spent a year digging and digging and digging, and everybody comes to the same conclusion. Even the Democrats.
Mueller has come to no conclusion.
Evidence of
the Senate Intelligence Committee has come to no conclusion.
Multiple members of Senate Intelligence Committee, including Dianne Feinstein, have said they've seen no evidence of collusion.
But the investigation isn't over. Why wouldn't you want to see it through?
We do.
It raises questions. If you want to see it through, then why do you keep saying shut it down?
We do.
And call it a fever? Why do you allow Nunes to do this end run that we've never seen before? And subverting the intelligence community to release things that could be jeopardizing to national security.
Look, no one here is going to make a decision that jeopardizes national security. That's been the president's #1 priority.
Well, then how can the president release the memo?
Day out.
Rosenstein doesn't want him to do it.
Frankly, Chris, I don't think you're qualified to answer that. You haven't seen the memo. You're not an intelligence officer.
The president hasn't seen the memo. Why is he promising 100% to release it?
But he's going to take the advice of those that have and those that actually have the knowledge and the experience to make that decision. I don't, and neither do you. So we shouldn't sit here and try to pretend like we do. The president has individuals on his legal team, his national security team that are doing that review, will make that recommendation, and will make that final decision at that point. The point I'm trying to make is we have spent the better part of a year, wasted a year. Think about all the incredible things this president has been able to accomplish in the last year. The economy is booming. ISIS is on the run. We're remaking the judiciary. We've gotten rid of thousands of regulations that have allowed our economy to actually thrive. We're making strides in places that we haven't seen in decades. If we did not have to deal with the obsession by the media over this, then I can't imagine the other amazing things that could have been accomplished in this past year.
The media doesn't keep you from accomplishing things. You set policy. We report on it, Sarah. And both of these things are true. You've done things that were positive. But we also have to deal with all of the crazy questions that you guys send on this topic.
Give me one crazy question. Day out.
One crazy question. We're watching an investigation that goes to the heart of the legitimacy of our democracy. And what he does for the economy matters, too. They're not mutually exclusive, to borrow your phrase. You have to report on all of it. Don't dismiss the Russia investigation before we even know what Mueller has.
Look, we've spent a year, and frankly, if in a year they haven't been able to find anything, I think that's very telling. Here's something else. You guys say that you report on both of these things. 90% of the coverage of this president is negative. How can 90% of the coverage be negative when so many incredible things are happening?
Here's your answer.
Oh, give me a
Here's
break.
your answer. Keep the president off this device. Or actually, I don't want him to do that. I want the window into his mind. But what he says is what drives the coverage.
America. They appreciate the fact that they have a president.
But that's where your negative coverage comes from, is what he says and what he does. But you know what? You know what is helpful to the American people? You coming on shows like this to make the case directly to them. We know you have to go. You are always welcome
here. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Always great
welcome.
to be with you.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, thanks for being here.